Haunted House Studios presents Somnarium. Episode 13. Bruises, Bruises, Bruises.
What were you thinking? I told you to be careful.
I was.
Really? 'Cause to me, it looks like the only thing you were using your head for was a battering ram. I told you not to stick your nose in other people's stuff, and look what happened.
Ow! Damn it, you're hurting me.
Will you sit still for 2 seconds and let me take care of your head? What even happened? How did you hit your head?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No, I don't. I just remember waking up on the floor with a throbbing headache. Kind of felt like I got run over by a truck.
You must have fainted and hit your head on the way down, or something.
Thanks, doctor.
You're the one who came to me instead of seeking medical help. Now tell me, what did you do?
Okay. So, you know everything I've told you about the hard drive already. The case files, the patients, the victims, Dr. Renwyck. What I didn't tell you about was what happened to me a while back.
What do you mean, what happened to you?
Well,
what?
it's gonna sound insane.
I'm afraid to tell you, that ship has long since sailed.
You're not gonna believe me if I tell you.
Try me.
Ugh, fine. It happened subtly at first. Odd sounds on my recordings here and there. The sound of knocking on glass, hearing the sound of a train.
Okay.
But after the 5th case I recorded, the sleep paralysis patient, the night guard, something invaded my room.
Wait, what do you mean invaded?
So, I had been having a weird dream for a little over a week at that point. Sitting at my computer with the hard drive spinning, looking at an empty text file. The text file starts filling up with the words, "Don't look," and then I wake up. But that night, after reading the case file, my door creaked open. Then the whispers started, calling out my name, and I couldn't move anymore, like someone had taken all of the breath out of my lungs. I felt something creeping up behind me. It was so large that it cast a shadow on the wall in front of me, and in my monitor I could see its bright red eyes reflected. When my chair started turning, it suddenly ended and I could move again.
Why do you think it was there?
I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out. But it's the same figure that the night guard described in his case file. I want to say I imagined it, but the whole experience felt so real. Then there was the time I heard the train in the distance when I was visiting you.
But I already told you I don't live near any train station or railroad.
Exactly. Whatever I've been experiencing is either messing with me, or I'm just losing my mind.
That's it. I knew it. You've gone loopy.
Ha, very funny. Then, last week, I heard a voice laughing in my grandfather's old radio.
What, that old thing? I didn't even think it still worked.
It doesn't, that's the point. Then last night, I was reaching the end of the file marked dangerous that I told you about.
You didn't.
I just had to know.
Oh my god, you're such an idiot. I told you it was a bad idea to open it. Were you even listening when I was talking about how dangerous it is to open suspicious files?
I know. I was reading the conclusion of the file, and I expected another patient death at the end.
And?
The figure from the sleep paralysis case came back.
What?
Exactly, it didn't make any sense.
None of this makes any sense.
I've been trying to associate certain phenomena and experiences with specific types of cases. Like trains are related to being late, reflections are linked to humiliation. The figure with the red eyes appears in sleep paralysis cases. There's more that I haven't properly linked, but last night was something new.
New? I thought all this happened ages ago.
Well, yes. Dr. Renwyck called it new. She wanted to associate it with glass and reflections at first, but wasn't certain that entirely fit the case.
I see. What happened then?
So, the figure came back, and I froze again. I couldn't move, I couldn't speak, I couldn't breathe. And then a voice started talking from the radio.
Are you okay?
Just thinking about it gives me chills. The voice told me how the patient died. He talked about fame and privacy, how everyone wants to be seen until they don't. And the voice knew my name.
What? It knew your name?
Yeah, before it left, it asked me if I could be certain when the last time was that no one was listening.
What did it mean by that?
I'm not sure. These recordings, maybe?
You mean someone might be listening to them?
Or something.
But you're posting them online, right?
Yeah, but it's not like a lot of people actually listen to it.
Okay. But seriously, how did you hit your head?
Like I said, I don't remember. I listened to the recording from last night while you were on the way here. The voice says he ran out of time, then the figure left and I could move again. The last thing I heard was me catching my breath and then the recording ends. I must have fainted after that, I think.
So what are we gonna do now?
What do you mean, we?
You involved me once, and now I'm here again. Clearly you can't do this by yourself, so I'm going to help you.
Maddie, you really don't have to do that.
It's too late now. You've already roped me in. Besides, consider my interest piqued.
Alright, well, we need the backup of the files you stole from the Deep website.
I was afraid you were going to say that. But what I've been hearing about Dr. Renwyck's case files and what I found on that site, it's too similar to be a coincidence. There's clearly some kind of connection here.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
There's only one problem, though.
Which is?
The backup is in my old apartment, and someone lives there now. I can't just knock on their door and say, "Hey, I used to live here. I hid something under the floorboards. Would you mind if I came in and ripped up the floor?"
Why not?
Fine. I'll figure out how to get the backup. On one condition.
Anything.
I need you to help me figure out what happened to May.
Deal.
Alright, well, except for a nasty bruise on your head, you should be fine.
Thanks, Maddie.
I'm no doctor, though, so don't go suing me if it turns out you had a brain tumor this whole time.
I won't. I appreciate it, though.
I should get going now. Are you going to be fine here by yourself?
Yeah, I'll be alright. I'm about to dive into another case.
Already? Shouldn't you get some rest first?
No, it's fine. Besides, it feels like I should keep going.
Alright, well, don't die or anything.
No need to be dramatic.
See ya.
Later. Let me know how it goes. Alright. Next case is Case of Devon Lee, first seen by Dr. Susan Renwyck on August 12th, 2010 for recurring nightmares, insomnia, and reported injuries allegedly sustained during sleep. Patient application. Applicant, Devon Lee. Date, August 9th, 2010. Referral, Dr. Redacted. Dear Dr. Renwyck, before I explain what's been happening, let me just say one thing. Please don't dismiss this because of what my primary physician wrote in her referral letter. She doesn't believe me and thinks I'm inflicting these injuries on myself. I'm not. I'm not hurting myself, and I'm waking up with the same injuries I get in my dreams. I don't know how that's possible. I know how it sounds, but I'm not crazy. Everything started a little over a month ago, when I was walking home after work. I'd stayed later than usual because I had a report due the next day, and I wanted to make sure it was perfect. We had a new boss starting, and I wanted to make a good impression. It was completely dark by the time I left. As I was passing a dark alley, someone stepped out of the shadows, holding a knife. He was an older man, with long grey hair and a beard. His clothes were filthy and torn. He looked like he'd been living on the street for a long time. He demanded my wallet and anything else valuable I had on me. I tried to reason with him. I told him it didn't have to be like this, that if he needed help, he didn't have to threaten me with a knife. He didn't listen. He just got more agitated. He started shouting and swinging the knife around, telling me to stop wasting his time and give him my money. I should have just handed everything over, but I kept trying to talk him down. Long story short, the knife caught me in the stomach and I went down. He took my wallet and my watch and left me there on the cold, dark street. I ended up getting lucky though. A few minutes later, a young man walking his dog found me and immediately called an ambulance. A few days later, I left the hospital with a lot of stitches and my bruised dignity. The doctor told me I got incredibly lucky that the knife didn't hit anything vital and the surgery went smoothly. For a little while, I really thought that was the end of it. I thought I'd just have to deal with being nervous for a while, maybe jump at shadows a bit, maybe take the long way home until I felt normal again. The first few nights were rough, but not in a way that seemed unusual. Everything hurt. Rolling over in bed hurt. Laughing hurt. Getting out of a chair hurt. I was sleeping in short stretches because I couldn't get comfortable, and because every time I closed my eyes, I kept seeing that alley again. Still, all of that made sense to me. I'd been attacked. I'd been stabbed. Of course I wasn't sleeping well. At first I thought the nightmares was just part of the recovering. That made sense to me. After something like that, of course I'd dream about it. Of course I'd wake up sweating, heart racing, hearing his voice again in my head. The first nightmare came not long after I got home from the hospital. I was back on that same street, walking home in the dark like nothing had happened yet. Same alley, same silence, same feeling that I should have turned around and gone another way. He stepped out just like before, knife in hand, demanding my wallet. Only this time, when he came at me, the knife went into the other side. I woke up gasping and clutching my stomach. For a few seconds I just lay there, trying to tell myself it was only a dream, and then I felt the pain. When I turned on the light, there was blood on my shirt. Not enough to make me think I was dying, but enough to make my hands start shaking. When I lifted the fabric, there was a fresh wound on the opposite side of my abdomen from where I'd been stabbed before. Shallower than the real one, but still there. I know how impossible that sounds. I still tried to explain it away. I told myself maybe I'd pulled something, scratched myself in my sleep, got the skin on the bed frame. Anything. I don't even know. I just didn't want to believe what it looked like. I cleaned it, changed my shirt, and spent the rest of the morning sitting on the edge of my bed trying to think of a reasonable explanation. The whole time I kept going back and forth between feeling ridiculous and feeling terrified. One minute I was telling myself that it had to be some simple answer. The next I was staring at that wound thinking I was losing my mind. But when I went back to my doctor, she didn't believe any of that either. She didn't think I was sleepwalking, and she clearly didn't believe that I could somehow be injuring myself in my sleep without realizing it. She asked me questions in this careful, measured tone people use when they've already decided what they think and are just waiting for you to confirm it. Had I been under unusual stress? Was I taking my medication properly? Had I had any history of depression? Did I ever lose time? Did I have anyone at home who could keep an eye on me? That's why I'm writing to you. I don't know if I'm sleepwalking, thrashing around, reopening injuries somehow, or doing something else in my sleep that I can't remember afterwards. Maybe there's a medical explanation for this. I hope there is. But I'm not doing this to myself deliberately. And if this is really happening while I'm asleep, then I need someone who actually understands sleep to help me prove that. Because right now, all I have is a doctor who thinks I'm lying and injuries I can't explain. Sincerely, Devon Lee. Consultation note. Patient Devon Lee. Date August 12th, 2010. Subject Initial consultation. Mr. Lee attended as scheduled. He presented visibly fatigued and frustrated, but remained cooperative throughout. He strongly disputed the implication in his primary physician's referral that he may be inflicting the injuries himself, and repeatedly insisted that some form of sleepwalking or other sleep-related behavior must be responsible. He stated more than once that he does not believe in ghosts and was clearly resistant to any explanation he felt sounded irrational. He described the initial assault clearly and brought several injuries to my attention during the consultation, including bruising, the wound opposite the site of the original stabbing, and a more recent mark across his upper back. The latter is notable as it would be difficult to produce cleanly without assistance or unusual positioning. While this does not rule out self-infliction, it complicates the simplest explanation. Given the nature of the complaint, I have asked Mr. Lee to return for overnight observation so that his sleep can be monitored directly. He agreed immediately and appeared relieved by the suggestion. I am not yet certain whether this presentation is connected to the same pattern I have noted elsewhere, but I do not feel comfortable dismissing the resemblance outright. Follow up once we have the results of the overnight observation. Follow-up note. Patient Devon Lee. Date August 13th, 2010. Subject Overnight observation follow-up. Mr. Lee remained under overnight observation as planned. Sleep was restless but otherwise unremarkable. No sleepwalking, significant nocturnal agitation, or other obvious parasomnic behavior was observed during the monitoring period. He woke, appearing tired and tense, but no visible new injuries were noted on examination the following morning. At present, I have no objective evidence to confirm the mechanism Mr. Lee believes is responsible for these injuries. That said, I am not persuaded that he is fabricating the entirety of his account. His distress appears genuine, and his insistence has thus far been more defensive than theatrical. For now, I have advised continued documentation of both dream content and injury presentation. Further follow-up will be necessary if the pattern continues. Sleep Diary. Addendum. Only a handful of entries from Mr. Lee's sleep diary were recoverable. The original was heavily water damaged by the time it came into my possession, and several pages were either fused together or too deteriorated to transcribe with confidence. What remains is fragmentary, but the surviving entries are presented here in chronological order. Friday, August 13th, 2010. I barely slept at the clinic last night, which turned out to be pointless anyway. Dr. Renwyck had me stay overnight so they could observe me, see if I was sleepwalking or doing something strange without realizing it. I agreed to it immediately because I thought, finally, good, someone is actually going to see this happen instead of looking at me like I'm crazy. And then nothing happened, or at least nothing they could see. I slept badly, that's true. I kept waking up, shifting around, feeling like I was on the edge of another nightmare without fully dropping into it. But apparently I didn't get up, didn't lash out, didn't do anything worth writing down. When Dr. Renwyck spoke to me this morning, she was careful with her wording. She didn't say she thought I was lying. She also didn't say she believed me. She just said there was nothing obvious in the observation that helped explain the injuries. So now I'm back home with no answers and even less dignity than before. Part of me was stupid enough to think one night another observation would solve this, that they would point to a camera and say, "There, you got out of bed at 2:13 a.m. and did this to yourself without knowing." Something humiliating, maybe, but still explainable. Something I could point to. Instead, all I've got is another doctor speaking to me like I'm an interesting problem. I told myself I would stay awake tonight. I really meant it too. I made coffee after dinner, turned every light on in the apartment, and sat on the couch with the television going just for the noise. I thought maybe if I kept my mind occupied and uncomfortable enough, I'd be safe. That lasted until sometime after midnight. I don't remember falling asleep. 1 second I was staring at some late-night rerun with the sound too low to follow, and the next I was somewhere else. Not the alley this time. A stairwell, concrete steps, one of those ugly apartment building stairwells that smells like dust and damp paint. I knew in the dream that I was trying to get away from someone, even though I couldn't hear footsteps behind me yet. I just knew. That same awful certainty as before, like violence had already decided on me, and I was only waiting for it to catch up. I remember reaching a landing and finding a man standing there like he'd been waiting. Not the one from the alley, younger than him, broad shoulders, face mostly in shadow. He didn't say anything, he just stepped forward and hit me hard enough that I saw white. I woke up on the couch with my head against the armrest and blood in my mouth. I bit through the inside of my lip badly enough that I had to stand over the bathroom sink for 5 minutes before it slowed down. When I looked in the mirror, there was a dark bruise starting high on my cheekbone too, like someone had caught me square in the face. Maybe I hit the edge of the couch in my sleep. Maybe I clenched my jaw and bit down harder than I realized. Maybe there is some pathetic explanation like that. But I know what that punch felt like, and what scares me now is that it wasn't the same dream anymore. Sunday, August 15th, 2010. I skipped writing yesterday because I was too tired and too angry. I'm starting to hate daytime almost as much as night. During the day I can still tell myself there has to be some explanation I haven't thought of yet. Then the evening comes and all I can think about is what I'll wake up with next. I didn't go anywhere today except the pharmacy and back. The woman at the counter asked if I wanted anything stronger for the pain. I almost laughed. Stronger for which pain? My stomach still aches if I move the wrong way. My face is yellowing at the edges now. The inside of my mouth stings every time I eat. I feel ridiculous all the time, like my whole life has narrowed to checking mirrors and flinching at bedtime. Last night I fought sleep for as long as I could, but at some point my body just shut down. The dream was a parking garage. I knew it was a parking garage before I even saw the cars properly. Cold concrete, fluorescent lights humming overhead, that damp, echoey feeling big empty spaces get at night. I was alone at first, or at least I thought I was. I kept hearing a sharp metallic sound somewhere behind me. Not loud, just steady enough that I couldn't ignore it, like someone dragging something along a railing as they walked. I started moving faster, then I heard footsteps. Again, I couldn't see the person's face clearly. That's starting to bother me almost as much as the injuries. It's never really about who they are. It's just the fact that they're there and that they mean to hurt me. In the dream, I remember turning too late and throwing my arm up out of instinct. Something sharp got me across the shoulder. Not deep, more like a slash than a stab, but it burned hot enough that I woke up shouting. This one is harder to explain away. When I checked in the bathroom, there was a cut along the top of my left shoulder, angling down towards the back. Not huge, but very clean. Too clean. It bled enough to ruin another shirt. I cleaned it myself, swore at myself, sat on the bathroom floor for a while, then cleaned it again because my hands wouldn't stop shaking and I wasn't sure I'd done it properly the first time. I spent most of this morning trying to figure out how I could possibly do that to myself in my sleep. I even walked around the apartment looking for anything at that height I might have caught it on. Door frame, shelf corner, coat hook, anything. Nothing made sense. I know I'm supposed to keep documenting this calmly, but calm is getting harder. The worst part is that the dreams aren't replaying the mugging anymore. They are changing. The place changes, the person changes, the injury changes. The only thing that stays the same is the feeling that, once it starts, I'm already too late. Tuesday, August 17, 2010. I am writing this because if I don't, I'll just sit here listening for sounds that aren't there. I haven't slept properly in 2 days. Not really. I've had little drops, maybe 10 minutes here and there, the kind where your head jerks and your heart is already racing before you even know if you were asleep. I've been drinking too much coffee. My hands keep trembling. I dropped a glass in the kitchen this morning because my grip just gave out for no reason. I called in sick yesterday, and again today. I said I had complications from the stabbing, which I guess is true in a way. Just not in any way that would make sense to anybody else. I keep thinking about calling Dr. Renwyck again, but what am I supposed to say? The observation didn't prove anything, and since then I've added numerous other injuries to the list. She'll probably ask me to come back in, and what then? Another normal night followed by another impossible morning? I finally passed out this afternoon, sitting up against the side of the bed. I didn't mean to. 1 second I was just resting my eyes because they felt like sandpaper, and the next I was in another dream. This time it was some kind of underpass or tunnel. Tile walls, water dripping somewhere, the sound of traffic overhead, muffled and far away. I remember thinking in the dream that if I just kept moving and got out to the other side, I'd be fine. Then someone rushed me from behind. I went down, hard. Before I could even get my hands under me, they kicked me in the side. Once. Twice. Maybe more. I don't know. I remember curling in around the pain and trying to protect my ribs because some part of me already knew what would happen if I didn't. I woke up on the floor beside the bed, unable to take a full breath. Every deep inhale caught in my right side. Not where I was stabbed. Higher up. Around the ribs. There wasn't much to see at first, just a small patch of bruising starting to come through, but the pain was sharp enough that I couldn't pretend there was nothing. I tried to wait it out. I really did. I sat there for nearly an hour, telling myself it was just bruising, or that I'd landed badly when I fell out of bed, or anything else that sounded halfway reasonable. In the end, I went to the ER because I couldn't breathe properly without feeling something catch. They did imaging. The doctor told me I had 2 fractured ribs. He asked if I'd fallen, been in another fight, or gotten hurt without remembering it. I told him no. He stood there for a second with that same careful look they all get now, like he was deciding which version of me he believed less. So now I can add broken bones to the list. I'm so tired. Everything feels meaner when you're this tired. The apartment sounds wrong. The dark corners look deeper than they should. I keep catching myself bracing whenever I hear someone out in the hallway, like they're about to come through the door and finish whatever keeps getting started in those dreams. I'm scared to sleep. That's the simplest version of it. I'm scared to sleep, because every time I do, something hurts me, and by morning, some part of it is real. Sunday, August 22nd, 2010. I don't know what day it feels like anymore. I know what date it is because I checked 3 times before I started writing, but that doesn't mean much. The last few days have blurred together. Sleep for an hour, maybe less, then wake up hurting somewhere new and spend the rest of the night pacing or sitting with the lights on waiting for daylight. I should have gone back to Dr. Renwyck sooner. I know that. I kept telling myself I needed one more clear example, one more injury I could point to, something that would force this to make sense. But all that's happened is I've grown more tired, more jumpy, and more afraid of my own bed. I have bruises now I don't remember getting. Some of them I can trace back to dreams, some of them I can't. That's almost worse. At least, when I can match them to something, I feel like I'm still following the sequence. Lately, it feels like the dreams start before I even fully fall asleep, as if they're waiting right on the other side of closing my eyes. Last night I kept hearing movement in the apartment, and I don't even know if it was real. I checked the locks twice, then a third time because I'd forgotten whether I'd already checked them. I sat in the kitchen with a knife on the table in front of me, and then felt stupid for doing that, because what exactly am I planning to defend myself against? A dream? I did sleep, eventually. I must have. There are pieces of it, but not enough to put in order. A hallway, somebody grabbing the back of my neck, my face hitting something hard, hands over my wrists. That feeling again, over and over, that if I could just wake up quickly enough, maybe I'd keep it from following me out. This morning my left wrist was swollen and stiff, and there's a bruise along my jaw I know wasn't there before. The one on my side still hurts every time I breathe too deeply. I got my reflection earlier, and didn't recognize myself right away. I just saw somebody who looked like they'd been in too many fights too close together. I haven't been in any fights. That's the part I keep wanting to shout at people, even though nobody's here to hear it. I haven't been drinking, I haven't been going out, I haven't been throwing myself into walls for attention. I'm alone in this apartment, going to sleep and waking up hurt. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if this keeps getting worse until I stop waking up, or if there's some limit I haven't hit yet. I don't know whether I should try to stay awake again tonight, or whether that just makes whatever this is easier by leaving me too exhausted to fight it. All I know is that I can't keep doing this. I'm going to go to sleep tonight and face whatever is there. In case I don't wake up tomorrow morning, please, Dr. Renwyck, understand this. I told the truth. I always told the truth from the beginning. I wasn't doing this to myself. There's no patient record addendum in this file. At least, not one I could recover. But Devon Lee is listed as deceased in the case index, same as the others. So whatever happened after that last entry, it didn't end well. And that's all I've got. No police report, no follow-up note, no explanation for how a man goes from insisting he's not doing this to himself to ending up dead in Renwyck's archive with half his file missing. This one felt different. Most of the other cases I've gone through had something in the margins, a name, a note, some kind of pattern Renwyck seemed to be tracking for herself. This one doesn't, not that I could find anyway, but it was still in the same archive. Same structure, same kind of deterioration, same feeling that it belonged with the rest, even if I can't yet say why. So, it has to mean something. For now, that's where this one ends. Now we wait for Maddie to get the files. My head hurts, and I think I'm going to go lie down for a bit. No further material recovered.